Okay, this is a demonstration of creating the assignments for use in the grid. They're called assignments, but they're all different assessments, quizzes, tests, exams, projects, etc. So we'll jump right in. We'll take a look at some of the arithmetic that gets involved around weightings, and we'll talk about some of the special features that might be available for your use. So we go to the plus and we hit assignment. And we are going to, by default on this screen, it chooses the current class, but you can actually, again, choose multiple classes. Okay, so going in order down the list, I'm going to say this is called quiz number 1. And we're going to choose one category for it to go in. So I'll choose knowledge understanding. And the due date is significant because it places it in the M2 or in the S2 term. Normally S2 in a secondary school, S2 is the semester will include everything. So it'll have a start date at the start of the year, the start of the course, and the end date is the end of the course. But the midterm is going to be that shorter range. So ensuring that the date is correct is going to make a difference on the calculation of marks. Now we're going to talk about the default settings. So we're going to probably see that most people are going to use this out of points. And let's say that this thing is actually out of 65. That's how I graded it. That's how it made sense at the assessment level to be graded. Now this count in traditional grade, final grade basically means I can turn it off, and that's now assessment for learning. It's not going to contribute to the mark. So you can put information down here, but we have to talk a little bit more about this 65, because the way that PowerTeacher Pro Gradebook works, it's going to assume that that has a weight of 65. So if next week you have a test out of 40, this one's going to be much more valuable than the one that's out of 40. So it's a problematic assumption that's being made. So what they have is they have the weight button, which allows you to have a multiplying factor. And so then we get into a total value or a weighting scheme at the assessment level. So I would recommend that you have in your mind, you either set up with a base scale of maybe set at 10s for a full period activity. If it's a week-long thing, maybe it's worth 40. If it's a half period, maybe worth 5. If it's a tiny little quiz, maybe it's worth 3, that sort of thing. So what we want is we want this one, because it's a quiz, I might want this to be valued at 5. Okay, because a half period of activity would normally be weighted at about a 5. Now I'm going to come back to this in a second, but we're going to take a look at how I do that. Basically what I want to do is I want to take this 65 and I want to multiply by a value that brings it close to 5. So I can do that if I say 0.85, sorry, 0.08, okay? And that gets me pretty close. The other thing is, if I say, oh, you know what, I really want this to be 7, it's actually more time. They have to spend more time on it. I can actually just kick 7 in here and it'll figure out that value for me. Now, it sets this to 2 decimal places, so the closest you're going to get is that. Okay, so you can use either value. You can use this one if you want to say, I want this to be worth 2, I can multiply by 0.03. Keep missing the 0.03, and that's 2-ish. Or you can say I want it to be a 2 here, and it'll figure out a value for me. Now, one cautionary piece to this is that when you do this, this total value is also multiplied at the category level. So if I have something that's worth, let's say I'm looking for this to be worth, maybe it's a 2-day thing, maybe I want this to be, maybe I want it to be 20. But if that's in knowledge and understanding, and knowledge and understanding has a weight at the category level of 20, but communication has a category level of 15 or lower, 10, then this 20 is going to be less than the one in the other category. So they do multiply together. It might not make a huge amount of difference if you have a lot of assessments, because they will populate. Once they get populated well enough, they won't be so volatile in their impact on the final grade. So I was actually wanting this to be a 5, I think I said. So I'm going to put a 5 in, and then I'll save, and that's ready to go. Oh, I didn't talk about this. Extra points will allow you to allow for a certain, right now the maximum entry is 65. You can only get 65, but maybe I want to give an extra 5 bonus marks on it, and I can put those in as well. I'm not going to bother in this. Okay, and we'll take a look at the Students tab. In here, we can actually take some of these people and say, no, we're not going to actually have everybody do this test. So I can say Alphabet is not going to do the test, and Mellows is not going to do the test, and I can save them rather than that. That'll just skip over them. There are options on the publishing, basically whether it publishes immediately or on a date or never, and whether the actual score gets published. And that's pretty much it. I'm going to put these students back on so that they're available. And I'm going to hit the save and close, and you'll see that basically that gives us a little place where we can jump right in to do the actual scoring. So that's the next thing we'll take a look at, is putting the scores on the student grades. Okay. Thanks.